Next this morning, I'm going to switch gears here. How far would you go to save the planet? That's the question. It's a mission that celebrities like Sally Field, Ted Danson, and Lily Tomlin are all very passionate about, and passionate enough to be arrested during Jane Fonda's so-called Fire Drill Fridays. Well, today's the last day of the weekly civil disobediences in Washington, D.C., with the focus on climate change. Our Itay recently flew there with actress Roseanna Arquette, and he joins us now this morning with more. Itay, good morning to you.
Good morning, Melvin. Jane Fonda has racked up 2 Academy Awards and 7 Golden Globes, but these days she's focused on another role, climate activist. For the last 3 months, Fonda has been getting arrested on Capitol Hill trying to push Washington to do something about climate change, and she's got a famous flock of actors backing her up. Roseanna Arquette is one of them, so I followed her on her journey to join Jane in the slammer. Getting on an airplane is not one of Roseanna Arquette's favorite things.
I don't like flying. I'm a nervous flyer.
And yet here she is, flying from LAX to DC. You could call it a birthday present to Jane Fonda. They'll spend it locked up together.
It's exciting. It's really important what she's done. She's galvanized a huge movement of people.
Jane Fonda exercised her First Amendment rights today and was arrested on the steps of the U.S. Capitol.
Since October, Fonda's been arrested time after time to keep global warming in the headlines. Not an easy task for someone who's turning 82. To celebrate, she's asked a bunch of her closest friends to join her Fire Drill Friday protest. All this inspired by a 16-year-old named Greta.
We're really just inspired by the young activists because this is going to be their world, and Jane's going to spend her birthday in jail. Thank you very much.
This is not Rosanna's first rodeo. For her, civil disobedience is a badge of honor.
Living in this time is pretty wild to be here and to experience this, and we're doing this for our kids and for future generations.
Her first stop in D.C., joining Fonda's army of activists for a live webcast called A Teach-In.
Global warming is linked to 2 million deaths.
Their hour-long climate change discussions hosted by Fonda and featuring a panel of experts designed to push the movement past the usual posters and marches. Fire Drill Fridays in D.C. have lured Hollywood's A-listers by the dozen. Diane Lane, Sally Field, Catherine Keener, and Ted Danson, just to name a few. Matt McGorry left the LA set of his show How to Get Away with Murder to be part of what he calls a historic moment in D.C. A longtime activist, he's got tips for getting arrested.
Make sure I'm well fed, make sure I pee, and get my mind right.
It's Friday morning, go time.
A matcha latte. Like a strong one.
Rosanna is decked out in red, the same color Jane's been wearing for her weekly arrests.
I never wore red, and it's it organically happened, and I think it's just the collective color of women right now and power. And it's also taking back the red cap, MAGA cap, taking the color back, and we're taking it.
After a short briefing at a church basement near Capitol Hill, Rosanna gets some last-minute instructions. Wear layers, comfortable shoes, bring a valid government ID, and $50 in cash. The fine for most acts of civil disobedience in Washington. About 11 a.m., Fonda's brigade heads to Capitol Hill, and Rosanna's out in front.
I'm feeling inspired and happy to be an American today, because this is what democracy looks like. The earth's on fire, and so are we.
She's marching alongside protest royalty like activist Dolores Huerta and the queen of social justice, Gloria Steinem.
We don't get it, shut it down! We don't get it, shut it down!
With your help and the young climate strikers and all environmentalists together, let's birth an army.
A few hours of songs and speeches, and it's time to storm the Capitol. The atrium of the Hart Building to be exact.
Okay, all good to go. Hey, come on down. All good. Come over, young lady.
At 2 p.m., Fonda and her friends take a seat at the center of the atrium as Senate staffers watch from above. As expected, police are on the scene within minutes.
If you do not cease and desist, you will be subject to arrest. This is your first warning.
They get 3 of those warnings before the cuffs come out and arrests begin. Final tally, 143 arrests, including Fonda, her 5th time in the slammer in 3 months. Among the last to be arrested, Roseanna is led to a waiting police bus and taken to a warehouse by the Navy Yard. A full 6 hours after her arrest, Roseanna Arquette is sprung.
Yeah! You're out!
And while her long day may be over, the climate change mission has only just begun.
Hi, welcome!
Today marks the last day of FONDA's Fire Drill Friday campaign, but if you weren't able to fly to D.C., don't worry. FONDA plans on holding more Fire Drill Fridays right here in L.A. starting next month.
Wow.
Who's participating this month? Or this week, excuse me.
Today is the last day. They have Martin Sheen, Susan Sarandon, and Joaquin Phoenix.
You had Dolores Huerta in her 80s. You have
Amazing.
Jane Fonda in her 80s.
Amazing.
I mean, Gloria Steinem, how old? In her 70s, I think, right?
And I'm never going to tell that woman's age.
She would own it, unlike some people.
No, it's great. You know, you've got Greta Thunberg and you've got these ladies. It's an intergenerational.
Walking the talk. Thank you for bringing us that report. Really cool.
Thanks, Itay.
Very cool that you got to go.
Yeah, it was. Really.